Good evening and welcome to Viewpoint. Tonight, Nigeria's political battlefield is no longer just on the streets, in rallies or on posters. It has moved into servers, databases, and digital fingerprint. The APC has rolled out statewide electronic registration not as a suggestion, but as a declaration. In Benue, the party chairman says only one thing now proves membership: your data, not your slogan, not your loyalty, your registration. And as this digital gate swings open, accusations are already flying. Salisu has knocked a Labour Party chieftain over alleged fraud claims, reminding us that in Nigeria politics, technology does not kill controversy, it simply uploads seats. But the story doesn't stop there. From the APC to Accord, from the ADC to Imagine Alliances, the real question is no longer who is popular, it is who is properly registered. Because as Osun 2026 approaches and 2027 quietly warms its engines, e-registration is not just a party exercise. It is a weapon of legitimacy, a tool of exclusion, and a test of political survival. Tonight on Viewpoint we ask, is digital membership the future of internet democracy or the newest gatekeeper of political power? Because in this new Nigeria, if your name is not on the system, your voice may not be in the election. Stay with us, this is Viewpoint, and I'm Ola Babatunde. Welcome back. The show is Viewpoint, where we discover perspective and embrace dialogue. Today, we're talking about APC e-registration, and definitely we're talking about this with our internal political analyst, Odiawa AI. Good evening, Odiawa. How are you doing?
I'm perfectly fine.
It's good to have you on the show again.
Likewise.
All right, so today we're talking about the declaration by APC party, talking about e-registration, and they didn't just bring this up as a suggestion. As much as we want the election process in Nigeria to be improved, let's make use of technology. But at least I feel before we embrace this, at first it has to come as a suggestion. But now it's looking like they're declaring like this is what we're doing. Now, going into the whole discussion, Senator Salisu Afolabi argues that APC e-registration process is makes use of technology to verify members and deepen democracy. Beyond e-registration, what other technological innovation could be effectively implemented to transform Nigeria's political processes and foster greater democratic?
Well, it's been long overdue for governance to merge or create an alliance with tech over time, because whether we like it or not, even from the consumption industry, you have your food, you have the mobility industry there, transportation industry there. Everyone has embraced tech. You have your Ubers, you have your Bolt, you have your InDrive. These are tech platforms which are actually serving a particular purpose there, which has to do with transportation. You have your Glovo and various other food vendors actually out there, which are actually making sure that they actually distribute food out there using tech, their apps. So on the part of governance now, I would say if APC is embarking on the e-registration, it's a very laudable move. Fine, all well and good, and other parties, of course, I want to believe should begin to initiate such. Why? Because they need to even sensitize the electorate and even their members on the fact that they can actually vote from anywhere within the country instead of going from door to door, convincing people, saving time, saving energy. So I would say this is where tech actually meets governance. But aside from that, it doesn't begin and end with registration, e-registration of the APC members. We should talk about apps which can actually be fused in governance, whereby the party now, for instance, either APC or PDP brings you into power and they say, okay, this is what we want. And when they bring you in, you say, okay, this is what you want. First, we have to bring in like public policies which have to be brought on board, legislations which have to be talked about. So I believe there should be digital platforms in which people, upon electing the officials into office, can actually have a platform where they can relay their pains, relay their recommendations based on policies or legislations to the people who are actually representing them, be it at the state, federal, or local level, and now say, okay, this is actually what we want. What you're even suggesting initially might not even play out with us. This is what we prefer. This is what we prefer. So actually, you need to actually listen to us. Then again, we should also look at it from the angle that it will actually save time, in the sense that they're actually targeting people whom are actually their actual members. There are so many people who can go out there and say, okay, for instance, let's use the military now. There are so many fake military personnel there. We now know that, okay, this is actually our person. What is the means of identification of our party? What is the means of identification of this particular person? So these are factors in which we should actually look at. But most importantly, the actual nail which the hammer should actually hit are the public policies and, of course, public discourse, which we set up on digital platforms for the people to be heard, even in remote areas.
All right. Earlier, you talked about the fact that other parties should also do this, like they should integrate technology into their party system. But then we have the Labour Party calling it digital fraud. Of course, Salisu dismissed that claim. But looking at this situation of the Labour Party just now claiming that it is digital fraud, what does this response that Salisu gave in regards to like dismissing that is not true? What does this response reveal about the typical dynamics of political rhetoric in Nigeria, and how might this, exchange impact public trust in political processes?
Well, if someone says actually it's actually a fraud, what we should actually be looking at is how well you should engage in constructive arguments in forms of governance. Governance doesn't begin and end with being elected into the executive or the legislative or even wherever you might be elected into office.
Okay.
So we should look at it also at the party level. A party has brought up a particular technique. We want to know our members. We want to also even see who we can embrace amongst the electorate. Why? Because we need more people. I don't feel people should begin to engage in attacks, because even the Labour Party, if you look at it, they have their own internal crisis. So you accusing someone saying it's actually digital fraud, in the sense that he might be saying, okay, because you're looking for a ploy to actually secure more votes in 2027, that's why this particular platform has been brought up. But it's quite sad people should engage in pointing fingers at people, why he has actually cleared it. But I would have preferred if the honorable member in question now, who has been accused of digital fraud, to actually stipulate and actually engage in constructive governance or constructive explanation concerning what this app is actually used for, not pointing accusing fingers at even your own house is in order. Now, following it back now to the electorate, who is actually looking at the APC and the Labour Party. If the APC doesn't act mature in its response to this claim, the electorate will look at them and look for an alternative option. And if the Labour Party engages in fighting back, the electorate will also look at them as not being capable of putting their house in order, because once someone is not standing fit and his base is not strong enough, nobody is going to give you face. So by the time you now come on board and say we have this e-registration, and then you're pointing back and then you're making statements like, if you're conducting a census in Nigeria, what is the business of Ghana? It doesn't logically make sense. Those are not kind of constructive arguments you should put up. I would have preferred if the honorable member should have actually given ethical explanations upon implementation of this particular process, why they are actually initiating this idea, and see how he can actually flawlessly defeat the opposition with superior argument as setting up a particular kind of technological advancement that will also amass or grab a particular niche of people. Since the Labour Party now is a people-centric party, Mama Papa Fikin now in question, and being the obedience movement now which embraces more of the youths, I think maybe they should have even taken a cue from what the APC has actually done to set up their own app and make sure they can actually conquer them, digitally speaking.
We're looking at what you just said now. It's more like you're not on the APC side, you're not on the Labour Party side. It's just you trying to bring facts together, because if we should look at it, if the APC are suggesting something and then the opposing party is saying that, okay, why are you doing this? You're doing this because of digital fraud. You're supposed to come up with facts that would not only clear the doubt in the mind of the Labour Party members, but also the people in general. And I think with that, it will make them gain trust, and people believe in their in this new thing, they're like this new innovation when it comes to electoral process and all that. But now that we don't even have detailed information about it, we don't know where the APC is coming from, why they declared this, because it's no longer a suggestion, and then people are not aware of this. What do you think about public trust in all of this? Because it means you're not giving us information to convince us. And if we're saying that other parties should pick up from there, like they should start doing this, when one party is not able to convince the people, like this is why we're doing this, what makes us think that other parties doing it would make people want to do it, because we don't have clarity when it comes to this. So how does this situation of not clarifying the whole situation affect public trust?
Well, going over to public trust, the electorate in our own part of the world has totally lost trust already, because of what has happened in times past. So it takes time for a wound to heal. So I would say this distrust is like some cancer which has become incurable. But hopefully we want to believe with this initiative should be curable. But again, the party setting it up, the structures that be, the people that be, will they actually allow it function to optimal capacity as it should be? That's another question. That's where trust can be earned. But if it's not being earned, then some form of cynicism will now begin to start from the electorate, whereby they say, okay, you did your own, and you said this was what you were going to deliver, and you didn't deliver. It's left for someone to actually withdraw, because that trust has been broken again. They say once beaten, twice shy, but in today's world, it's a case of twice beaten, thrice shy, because
we've been beaten several times.
Exactly.
All right, so moving on, Senator Salisu Afolabi connects the e-registration to President Bola Tinubu and Governor Dapo Abiodun's leadership, suggesting it transforms the political process. And looking at it, these key figures are presently in power in Nigeria. So how do you think a comprehensive digital party membership database fundamentally alter traditional political strategies? And, we're looking at how it affect the internal party power structure and election campaigning in Nigeria too.
So looking at the election campaigning, we see what happens on the news, even pre-election, countdown to elections, the massive campaigns which are going on. I think with this digital initiative involved in the governance process and even the electioneering campaign, it will be that, as I would say, it saves time, saves resources, and saves energy, so that they will be able to map out who actually are people, which zones or areas we actually target based on demography and, of course, political zones or geopolitical zones, rather. And once they look at all these things, they know how they can channel their energy and their resources simultaneously. And another angle to it is that they can actually go forth and penetrate the local communities directly, instead of going through godfathers who actually state or say a thing like, okay, you're not going to get my people. Why? Because they don't like a particular candidate. This advancement now is actually going to checkmate so many things now as we speak. So these are variables in which we should look at. Number one, it will save time, save cost, save energy, and of course checkmate the excesses of political godfathers at the end of the day, whereby they can actually relate directly to the people instead of passing through someone.
Okay. All right, thank you very much, Odiawa. We're taking a short break. When we return, the Osun 2026 race takes center stage. APC, Accord, ADC. Different symbol, one battlefield. Who is gaining ground? Who is quietly losing influence? And which alliances could decide the next governor? Stay with us. This is Viewpoint. Welcome back. The show is still Viewpoint, where we discover perspective and embrace dialogue. We just finished talking about the registration within the APC party system, and now we're moving to the situation of things in Osun State ahead of 2026 election. So now I would like to ask you, the current governor moved from PDP to Accord. And if one would ask, looking at Accord Party in Osun State is not one of the parties that has this stronghold in Osun State. I would say it's one of like the new parties. So looking at the situation, if anyone would decamp during that time, you would think they would decamp to say APC, because it's a stronger party now in Nigeria, looking at the internal crisis that is going on in PDP party and all that. But now the current governor moved from PDP to Accord, which has been raising a lot of question in the mind of people and others. So how might the incomplete reconciliation within the APC, particularly the dissatisfaction expressed by Omishori and other disqualified aspirants, impact the party cohesion and its ability to effectively campaign for Oyebamiji in the 2026 Osun governorship election? Talking about Oyebamiji, I feel like his name is everywhere in Osun State as the APC candidate, and it is looking like other people, or I would say other stakeholders in APC are trying to help him at this point, and then we have the situation of things with the current governor to going on side by side. So what do you think about the campaign for Oyebamiji?
Do we begin with Oyebamiji or we begin with the current governor?
I think we should begin with the current governor. What do you think about him, the campaign from PDP to Accord?
Okay, to begin with the current governor, going from PDP to Accord, I would say maybe he's looking for where he will not have heavy competition, because the Accord party is not a party that you will say is one of the big four or big three. When you're talking of the big four or big three, you're talking of the APC, the Labour Party, and of course the PDP. And probably the ADC, which is emerging now or taking flight. Secondly, we might also say that he didn't want to join the league of betrayers who actually left the PDP for the APC. Why? Because of political survival and political probably recognition from the federal level. So these are things we should actually look at. Now, looking at it, Adeleke is an identity alone. He's a brand on its own. So looking at it, he might not necessarily be the one who actually say you just toss away from the side, coming out from PDP. PDP has the internal crisis, but now as we speak now, from the elite level, from the elite electorate, they can look at it like, okay, probably he has left the PDP. He's now with the Accord party. He has his reasons why, because he respects ideology and is actually for the interest of the people and not for himself. That's why he actually went for the Accord party instead of the APC. And as we speak now, I will still go back to the APC now, relating it now to the APC to answer both questions at once. Looking at it further now, the APC now as we speak has their own, how will I say, cold war, let me put it that way. Why? Because Omishore actually is a dissatisfied member who was a former deputy governor who aspired or thought he could emerge the governor now. But Baba had spoken, just to mention a few stakeholders, just to mention a few, they call them the Agba caucus of Osun State. So these are people that have actually ascertained that, okay, this is the person we actually want to stand in or run. So that alone will now begin to create a fractured base for the APC. It will cause confusion in the sense that there might be loyalty, there might be loyalists loyal to Omishore, loyalists who are also loyal to another particular person. And some people can develop some level of political indifference or political indifference. Why? Because to vote or not to vote. Why? Because their candidate is not the person they actually want to, or who is actually on seat or who has been vouched for. That's why probably I sense Adeleke must have not gone to the APC, but chose to start on a platform of the Accord party.
All right. Still talking about the governor moving from the PDP party to the Accord party. Looking at the situation, what potential long-term implication does this have on political landscape of Osun State, especially concerning voter loyalty and party structure? Because I feel the people of Osun State also have their perspective in all of these. Do they want to vote for the party, or do they want to vote for the personality? I mean, the person the candidate running for the election.
Like I said earlier, Adeleke is a brand on its own, and it will take a whole lot of sensitization and awareness. They know him as a face. And when they know him as a face, they know him as the popular dancing governor, dancing senator. So, and these are the elites who know that he has actually shifted from the PDP to the Accord party. Now, his allegiance has shifted, but does it occur to people, particularly I don't mean to be rude, but those who are not politically aware at the grassroots, the illiterates, not the elites now, who have actually said, okay, they only recognize PDP with the umbrella. They recognize the APC with the broom. What party actually does Adeleke actually belong to now as we speak now? Okay, the Accord party, their logo is a thumbs up. It's a new party. Some people, particularly at the grassroots, who are not really politically intuitive, will actually say, okay, what party is this? But that's Adeleke's party. So he will have a whole lot of homework to do when it has to do with publicity going from door to door. When I mean door to door, starting with the traditional rulers who actually know, okay, this is the leader of this community. I need to be identified with this person. This is the renowned person in this locality. I need to be identified with such a person. So it will take a whole lot of homework. So, and on the part of Accord Party, they stand a chance in the sense that the identity of Adeleke is a renowned identity. So that is what they actually capitalize on. Then going back to what I said, the fractured in-house crisis of the PDP, whereby he had actually left with some of his followers, thereby leaving the PDP weak in the state. Of course, nationally speaking, they are perceived to be weak. We don't know of tomorrow whether they could gather their strength back. So these are factors or variables we should begin to look at. Adeleke has an identity, and as an incumbent governor, these are factors which are working to his advantage and which the Accord Party will actually capitalize on. For the APC, it might be a win-win situation, might not be a win-win situation. But for the Accord Party, they are leveraging on the identity and the brand of Adeleke, who actually resurrect them.
Okay, so let's look at this. As a political analyst, and looking at the time frame between now and, say, June, July, when the election is going to take place, or probably August, do you think Adeleke can cover the grassroots? I mean, you know, reaching out to people, just like you said, it's not only the elite that are going out to vote. We see old women, old men trying to vote. And most times they are not going there to vote for a party, but they don't even know, like they know the person, okay, this is the person I want to vote for. But they might really not know, like you said, like what party that person is in now, because I would say that the decamping is quite fast, and it is something that you think, oh, you should have done this about 2 years ago. Within 2 years, would have been able to sensitize people and let them know that, oh, I'm no longer a PDP candidate. I'm now with the Accord Party member, and then you would have met with, I mean, people in that party to, you know, talk to them and to help you reach out to people in the grassroots. Now, looking at the time frame, do you think he would be able to achieve this? Because even if the people want to vote for the personality, they would likely vote for the party because that is the party they are accustomed to.
Well, a one-time head of state in the back then in 1999, he made a particular statement. He said, in Nigerian politics, everything is possible.
Okay.
So I want to believe that within this time frame, it is possible for the dancing senator to make his name in the party and make a name for the party within this time frame. Why? Because I want to believe some underground work has been going on. And if that underground work has been going on, even up to the local level, we could see the structures he has actually put in place. So he's an advantage, let me put it that way. So once they see him, of course, we know what happens during elections or even the polling units. Okay, why is Accord Party here? Why is the proliferation of Accord Party? Where are the PDP members? Why are the PDP members disorganized? So it's Adeleke's people. So before you say Jack, that is when they will recognize the thumbs up. So I'm not here to vouch for the Accord Party. Okay. I'm only trying to tell you or let you know the level of disposition that might take place within the time frame.
All right. So despite the Accord Party reliance on inherited PDP network and its weak grassroots structure, what strategies could Adeleke's campaign employ to educate rural voters about his new party affiliation and build an independent identity for Accord ahead of the election?
Well, it's common now that when we walk past the streets, even though there are electoral laws guiding publicity of elections, within what time frame you should run your campaign, within what time frame you should stop, where you shouldn't do that. We look at Ekiti State. It was a case of this authoritarian dictatorship where they said no poster of any other party should actually be posted about the place, thereby making only the incumbent governor unopposed as we speak, and his word maybe has become law. We don't know whether he has become a monarch within Ekiti State, but this was sometime last year. I want to believe that is over with. So now coming over now to Osun State, we should say that even the list of there should be indigenous stations within Osun State, so people will be in tune with their radios. The elderly men, of course, they should have their Go TVs and co. We're watching the news, and then we see some adverts on the side on your cable TVs, and then we see the billboards we see the posters. We have some other party members and stakeholders who take it upon themselves within their locale to set up banners and spread across. And they were like, is that not Adeleke? When did he switch allegiance? That is when you now begin to sow a seed of consciousness into the minds of the locals or the people within the grassroots. So that alone, these moves which they've made, or even the market women, when they're in their stalls or wherever, when they're in their stalls or wherever, you share them flyers and hand out one or two or do the needful. You extend this corporate social responsibility, or should I say corporate political responsibility here, thereby creating awareness. And once you do that, everyone is already informed. And before you say, Jack, it's just like a new song by a musician. You wonder how a 3-year-old is ready, how a 3-year-old is singing that song. So before you see, within 3 days, within 3 weeks, probably give or take, they should now know the identity or which party Adeleke is actually identified with.
All right. Thank you very much, Ojawa, for joining on the show. And so tonight on Viewpoint, we'll leave you with a simple truth. In today's Nigeria politics, loyalty is no longer declared. It is downloaded, verified, and stored. E-registration has turned membership into evidence, permutation into calculation, and ambition into data. From Benue to Osun, from 2026 to 2027, the parties are no longer just counting supporters, they are counting who truly belongs. The APC, Accord, ADC, and every other contender now face the same question. Will technology strengthen internal democracy or quietly decide who get locked out of power? Because in this new political era, if your name is not on the list, your influence may not be in the future. I'm Olaitan Babatunde, and this has been Viewpoint with Odiawa AI. Thank you for joining on the show. For more political content, you can follow us at BJ Media. Thank you for watching.